Hello everyone, welcome to another session of important locations for map-based questions. This initiative has been brought to you by Aptiplus Academy for Civil Services. This is a very special initiative which has been specially curated for UPSC Prelims 2020. My name is Shaikh Datta. I am the faculty for Geography and Environment at Aptiplus Academy for Civil Services. So we were looking at different places across the world which has been there in the news. So previous to this, we have looked at various parts of the world. For example, South America, we have seen Europe, we have seen West Asia, we have seen Southeast Asia, we have seen. Today, we will be focusing on another very important section of the world, and that is South Asia and East Asia. We'll start with East Asia first and then move on to South Asia. And we'll look at all those important places which were in the news from these parts of the world. Okay. So first, we'll start with East Asia. So if I look at East Asia, then this is the area. This is the area that we'll refer to as East Asia. Okay. So over here, especially we get to see the eastern part of China, that is Hong Kong and all these areas. All of them will come under East Asia. Now, especially we get to see this Hong Kong has been in the news for a long period of time. And why it has been in the news is because of a lot of protests which have been taking place in Hong Kong. And let us know a little bit more in depth regarding these issues which are going on in Hong Kong, especially with regards to China and its autonomy. Okay, so let us have a look at what the issue is. First of all, I hope you can see that over here you have China, right? Over here you have China, and you have the Hong Kong island over here. Okay. So here you have China and you have the Hong Kong island over here. Now, what is the issue? Let us know a little bit regarding the issue which is taking place in Hong Kong, or which is plaguing Hong Kong for a long period of time. There has been civil unrest, there has been protest, but why? First of all, see Hong Kong. This Hong Kong area, it is a special administrative region. Hong Kong is a special administrative region, which means all the laws which are applicable in the Chinese mainland, they do not apply in case of Hong Kong, right? So it is in the news, or it has been in the news, due to the large-scale political protests and disturbances against China's control. So people in Hong Kong have been protesting for a long time because they believe that their autonomy is being diluted over the years by China, and China is slowly trying to take over control of Hong Kong. So that is why it has been in the news that people in Hong Kong, they have been protesting against this particular effort by China to reduce the autonomy of Hong Kong. Why? It's all started because China wanted to bring a new law. What is this new law? Let us try to understand. So China, it wanted to bring a new law under which people could be extradited from Hong Kong to China. So anybody who was breaking the rule, anybody who was protesting can be taken away from Hong Kong to China. And once that person goes to China, automatically the laws of China will apply to that particular person. So this is something which the people of Hong Kong were not really happy with. So they did not want people from Hong Kong to be extradited to China, and the laws of the Chinese mainland being applicable for the residents of Hong Kong. But that is what China wanted to do, mainly in order to tighten its grip over Hong Kong. So we get to see a lot of protests had been taking place in Hong Kong, especially by the pro-democracy protesters. Pro-democracy protesters. So basically the people of Hong Kong, they want a democracy to be established over there in Hong Kong, unlike what happens in China. Because in China, you don't really have a democracy over there. So that is why the pro-democracy protesters, or the people who support democracy in Hong Kong, they were protesting against China. So people of Hong Kong protested, and they were called as a pro-democracy protesters. Now, what is this entire relationship, or what is the relationship which exists and what has existed between Hong Kong and China? What is the historical setting of the relationship between Hong Kong and China? To understand that, we have to go back and understand the Treaty of Nanking. Okay, the Treaty of Nanking, what does it say? After the first Opium War, Hong Kong was given to the UK in 1842. Okay, Hong Kong, it was given to UK in 1842 by China after the first Opium War. via the Treaty of Nanking. So you have to remember these terms, and these are very, very important for you to be able to answer the questions which are asked in UPSC, especially in prelims. So they will not simply ask you why Hong Kong was in the news, but also should know the historical basis of it. So by the Treaty of Nanking, we get to see that Hong Kong was given to the UK by China in 1842 after the First Opium War. And Hong Kong became a special administrative region. Hong Kong became it is right now, if you look at it, it is a special administrative region. Until 1997, Hong Kong was ruled by Britain as a colony, but then handed back to China. Okay, so it was just like a colony, like India was a colony of the UK. Similarly, Hong Kong was also a colony of UK until 1997. You can understand 1997. Hong Kong was ruled by the UK. It was ruled by Britain. But then we get to see in 1997, Hong Kong was given back by the UK back to China. But China, it introduced a new system in 1997, which was meant to last for around 50 years. So once China got back Hong Kong from UK, it introduced a new system. This new system, which was introduced by China, it was meant to last for 50 years. What system is it? This system is what is referred to as one country, two systems. The system, the name of the system which is applicable or which was introduced in Hong Kong by China, that is called as one country, two systems. Now, what is this one country, two systems? People of Hong Kong had more autonomy and more rights, but when China decided to, so under this one country, two system, just try to understand what is meant by one country, two system. It basically means that, see, Hong Kong will be a part of China, but what do we understand the term one country, two system? It basically implies that the Chinese rules which are applicable on the mainland of China will not apply in Hong Kong. Hong Kong, the rules and regulations in Hong Kong will be different from those which are applicable in case of mainland China. Hong Kong will be having much more autonomy because that has been their way of life. So the thing is that the culture of Hong Kong is very, very different from the culture of mainland China. Why? Because Hong Kong has been under UK domination, under the domination of Britain for a very long period of time, and hence it would take, that is what the Chinese thought, it will take much more time to be able to integrate Hong Kong into the Chinese mainland or to make it become a part of China. So it will take much more time, and hence it has to be done in a slow and gradual process. It should not be done in a very rapid manner, in a very fast manner. So that is why this particular system, which was introduced in 1997 by China, it was meant to last for around 50 years. And this system was called as one country, two systems. What does that imply? That implies that the people of Hong Kong will have much more autonomy and more rights compared to the people who lived in mainland China. That is what is the the most important part about this one country, two systems. But now we get to see that this entire arrangement, which was supposed to last for around 50 years, this entire arrangement, somehow China did not want it to last all that long. China did not want it to last for 50 years. So what did China do? But China decided to pass such a law in which people in Hong Kong felt that this was an attack on their autonomy and their rights. Also, people were unsure how long the one country, two systems will last. The law which was passed by China, which ultimately triggered the entire protest in Hong Kong. So when China decided to pass that law, what happened? People in Hong Kong, they felt by passing a law by which basically the people of Hong Kong could be extradited to China and could face prosecution in China or could face their trial in China. So that was an attack on their autonomy and their rights, which were promised to them when Hong Kong became a part of China in 1997. So whatever autonomy, whatever rights were promised to Hong Kong, those things were not being adhered to by China, and this is what the people of Hong Kong did not like. Also, when China passed such a law, the people in Hong Kong, they felt that this one country, two system, which was meant to last till around 2047, because you see 50 years was the time frame, was the duration. So people in Hong Kong, they felt that maybe China will go back on its promise and will not allow this system to function till 2047. That was what was decided, pre-decided time or deadline. So maybe the Chinese government, they won't allow this particular system to function all the way up to 2047. So they were very unsure about this, and because of all this insecurity and all this doubts which had crept in the mind of the people of Hong Kong, that led to such kind of violent protest erupting in Hong Kong. So ideally 2047 was supposed to be the year till which this one country two system was supposed to function, and people in Hong Kong, they felt that their autonomy and rights would be taken away by China even before 2047. So ideally it should have lasted for till 2047 from 1997, but people in Hong Kong, they felt no, China wants to take away their right and autonomy much earlier than that. Also, if you look at Hong Kong now, let us have a look at this entire part of Hong Kong. So here you have Hong Kong, and Hong Kong, it is surrounded by a province of China called as the Guangdong province, and we get to see that even now the protests in Hong Kong, they are still continuing. ठीक है, अभी भी protest चल रहा है. So protests are still continuing in Hong Kong. Hong Kong, it is surrounded by the Guangdong province. So please remember the name, Guangdong province of China. Okay, so first of all, look at the location. You should be aware about the reason for the protest, the reason behind the protest. So this is the Special Administrative Region, SAR, you might be able to see. SAR stands for the Special Administrative Region of Hong Kong. This area, this is Hong Kong. Next. Here you can see the Guangdong region. So which province surrounds Hong Kong? Hong Kong is surrounded by the province of Guangdong, Guangdong, Guangdong province. Okay. Now let's move on. Next area of China, and that is also part of East Asia. So next part of East Asia, which was there in the news and it is still in the news, that area is called as Wuhan, WUHAN, the Wuhan province. Now, where is this Wuhan province? If you look at all these provinces of China, then you will not be able to find Wuhan province, because Wuhan is not a separate province, but it is a part of this Hubei province. So Wuhan, it is a part of this Hubei province, and it is the capital of the Hubei province. Now, why Wuhan has been in the news, all of us are aware of it. Okay, right now we are in the middle of a pandemic, and we get to see that the start of this pandemic officially, the start of this pandemic had taken place in this particular city of China, which is called as Wuhan, and Wuhan is a part of the Hubei province, is the capital of the Hubei province. Okay, so let us know a little bit regarding Wuhan and Hubei and why it has been in the news. So Wuhan province, it is the capital of the Hubei province. Okay? Wuhan is like a city. It is the capital of the Hubei province, and it is also a major industrial and commercial city. It is a major industrial and a commercial city. Also, we get to see, apart from, just for your information though, this is apart from Hong Kong, we also get to see that there is another special administrative region in China, which is called as Macau. So Macau is another special administered region of China. Where is Macau? You can see just below Hong Kong. Just below Hong Kong, over here, you have Macau. And that is another special administered region of Hong Kong, of China. Okay, so where is Wuhan we have seen, and where is Hubei we have seen. Now, for going further, this Wuhan area or the Wuhan city, it is located at the confluence of two rivers. One is Han, the other is Yangtze. Very, very important thing. It's a very, very important piece of information from where questions can be framed in UPSC prelims. Please remember this particular, because Wuhan has been in the news and will continue to be in the news till the end of the coronavirus. So please remember, okay, Wuhan is present at the confluence or at the junction of two rivers. Which are these rivers? One is the Han River, HAN, Han River. The other is the Yangtze River. Han and Yangtze, very important rivers. Han River, HAN, Han and Yangtze River. And it has been in the news for the coronavirus or COVID-19. By the way, what does COVID-19 stand for? A lot of people tend to feel that this 19 actually stands for the 19th variety of coronavirus. That is not the case. When we talk about COVID-19, it stands for coronavirus infectious disease 19. 19, that is 2019, was the year when this entire epidemic or pandemic it started. So that is why the 19 stands for the year in which it started, not the 19th type of coronavirus. That is not the case. Okay. So this Wuhan area has been in the news for the coronavirus. Another area that you should be aware of, or before I go to the area part, let us also know a little bit regarding the Uyghur Muslims. What is this Uyghur Muslim and who are they? Now, first of all, what is this Uyghur? Uyghur is a community, and most of these Uyghurs, they belong to Islam. Okay, they are Muslims. Now these Uyghurs they are found in the Xinjiang province of China. First of all, आपको देखना होगा कि where is this Xinjiang province? देखो Xinjiang कहाँ पे है? Xinjiang is over here. तो आप समझ सकते हो कि सेंट्रल एशिया के आसपास ही है the Xinjiang province. That is why there is some amount of Islamic influence also that we can see over here. Anyway, so this Xinjiang province, and in this Xinjiang province, we get to see that there is a particular community who are called as Uyghurs. Now, most of the Uyghurs, they are Muslims, and Islam is an important part of their lives and their identity. Okay, most of the Uyghurs, they are Muslim, and Islam is an important part of their lives and their identity, and their language is similar to Turkish, and they regard themselves as culturally and ethnically close to Central Asian nations. Okay? Please remember Uyghurs. Also, the thing over here is this. Okay, because Uyghurs they follow Islam, whereas the rest of China, they either are communist in nature or they have a very different religion, which is definitely not Islam, and as a result of which we get to see that there is some amount of separatist tendencies that are found in these areas, in these provinces, and hence the Chinese government, they have been very tough, you can say. They have been trying to suppress all kind of separatist tendencies and movements by actually sending these Uyghur people and the people belonging to Uyghur community, sending them to re-education camps. Basic thing is that to try to brainwash them so that they are supposed to leave their religion and they follow whatever the government of China asks them to do. The thing is over here is that Uyghur is the site for a lot of separatist movement and also a lot of suppression as well and oppression by the Chinese government. So where are they found? First of all, Uyghurs, they are found in Xinjiang province of China. Where is Xinjiang province? I have shown you. It is adjacent to the Central Asian area, and most of the Uyghurs, they are Muslim, and Islam is an important part of their lives. Plus also their language is similar to Turkish. Thus culturally and ethnically they believe that they are much closer to the Central Asian nations as compared to being a part of China. So please read up a little bit regarding Uyghur community and what kind of atrocities are being committed by the Chinese government on the Uyghur Muslims. Similarly, we also get to see even in Myanmar, we have the Rohingya Muslim community on which we get to see the dominant community of Myanmar. They commit a lot of atrocities, and as a result of which we get to see so many people from these Rohingya communities, they are having to flee from Myanmar and go to other countries like Bangladesh and like India to seek refuge over there, right? Anyway, now moving on to the next part that we have, and first of all, look over here in this particular map that I have provided over here. So over here you can see I have shown you the border between North Korea and South Korea. So at one point of time, Korea used to be one single country. Okay, so at one point of time we had Korea as one single country, but then we had the Korean Wars in which North Korea, it was supported by USSR, the Soviet Russia, that is erstwhile Soviet Russia, which used to be there. So they supported North Korea, and North Korea was more communistic in nature. They've had communist ideologies, and whereas South Korea automatically was supported by the USA. And as a result of which, because of Korea War, we get to see that Korea broke up into two parts. One is called as the North Korea, the other is called as South Korea. In between North and South Korea, we have a very heavily armed area, जहाँ पे बहुत सारे troops हैं. We have a lot of personals present over there. And this particular area is what is called as demilitarized zone. Demilitarized zone. Okay. So not only troops, but also we have a lot of mines, etc. So this is the border between North and South Korea. Over here you can find in this map you have the two capitals. North Korea ka capital kya hai? Pyongyang. Again, North Korea has been in the news, and even now it has been in the news because its supreme leader uh, might be dead. We are not yet sure, but there has been some reports that which say that the supreme leader has suffered from some kind of complications following a heart surgery. But anyhow, North Korea का जो capital है that is Pyongyang, South Korea का जो capital है that is Seoul. Okay, Seoul is the capital of South Korea, and North Korea capital क्या है? Pyongyang. Let's move on. Now this demilitarized zone that we could see, so over here we find Trump, Mr. Donald Trump, he became the first US president to set his foot in North Korea to meet their supreme leader Kim Jong-un. Okay, so demilitarized zone of Korea, and over here we get to see first US president was Mr. Donald Trump, who became the first US president to set his foot in North Korea to meet Kim Jong-un, who is the North Korea supreme leader. And this demilitarized zone, this zone divides North and South Korea, and it is a buffer of 2 kilometers. So there is a zone of 2 kilometers, like even in case of India, Pakistan, and all these areas, we have near the border, we have a buffer area which is called as the no man's land. So over here also we have a buffer area of around 2 kilometer buffer is there, and this entire area has a lot of fences. So a lot of fencing is there, landmines are there, and anybody who tries to cross, there are high chances that he or she might lose their lives. But yes, still we get to see a lot of people have defected. Defected matlab they have come out of North Korea and they have become citizens of South Korea. Now let us try to understand this demilitarized zone, it has been there since 1953. Why has it been there since 1953? Because at the end of the Korean War, when was the Korean War fought? 1950 से लेकर के 1953 के बीच. So at the end of the Korean War, what happened was from the end of the Korean War, this particular demilitarized zone has been there. But question है क्यों? Why do we have a demilitarized zone? Why is there not a proper border? The reason is that no treaty was signed, only an armistice. Okay, so there was no peace agreement. जब मतलब ऐसा है कि a war was going on, and suddenly it was decided कि कुछ दिनों के लिए there will be some amount of ceasefire, some amount of peace, armistice was declared, and उधर ही war जो है, war never restarted after that. So technically अगर देखा जाए, there was no such agreement by which the Korean War has come to an end. Again, try to understand. Korean War, it had lasted from 1950 से लेकर के 1953. तो कोई भी war जब होता है, there has to be an agreement saying that the war has come to an end, and both the sides they will accept something, and ultimately the war should come to an end. But in case of this Korean War, which had taken place 1953 के बाद, there was no treaty, there was no peace agreement, nothing. Only you can say only an agreement के they will stop fighting for some time. So there was an armistice which was declared, and hence, technically speaking, both the Korea, they are still at war because the war has never ended. There was no peace agreement, so technically they are still at war, and that is why you will get to see if you go near the this demilitarized zone, there will be a lot of propaganda audio being announced from both the sides. Not only that, but also you'll find that both the Korea, especially the North Korea, so they will be going on testing their missiles and their tanks in order to threaten South Korea, because in South Korea you have a lot of presence of US Army, US personnel are there. So mainly to threaten USA, mainly to threaten South Korea, you will find that North Korea goes on testing its missiles, its ballistic missiles, etc. So anyway, technically the war between North and South Korea has never come to an end. Only an armistice has been declared, and hence this particular area, that is the demilitarized zone, it is heavily mined, it is heavily guarded. And this zone is along the 38th parallel. What is 38th parallel? It refers to the 38th north latitude. 38 डिग्री नॉर्थ लैटिट्यूड को ही 38th पैरेलल कहा जाता है. ठीक है, सो ये जो पूरा जोन है, दैट जोन इज लाइंग अलोंग द 38 डिग्री नॉर्थ लैटिट्यूड. Thus, North and South Korea are still technically at war. Okay, ये चीज आप याद रखो कि what is, and please go and check what has been the relationship between North and South Korea. So over here we get to see that this was the moment where two arch enemies, that is North Korea and Mr. Donald Trump, they so North Korea led by Kim Jong Un and Donald Trump, they had shook hands, standing at the edge of North and South Korea. Okay, moving on. Next up, so this is regarding East Asia. We'll talk a little bit regarding South Asia as well. So let us have a look at South Asia and some parts of South Asia. Okay, so when we look at South Asia, first जो एरिया हम लोग देखेंगे उसका नाम है मकालू बारून नेशनल पार्क और मकालू बारून नेशनल पार्क. ठीक है, Makalu is the name of a peak. The national park which is present around that area उसका नाम है Makalu Barun National Park. Now, as you might be aware, Nepal is the home of some of the highest peaks of the world. Okay, so for example, you talk about Mount Everest, that is also there. Similarly, Makalu is a very high peak. Around this area, you have a national park. So why it was in the news? It was in the news because we get to see that Indian Army, they came up with an announcement saying that they have been able to locate the footprints of Yeti. What is this Yeti? Yeti, it is a mythical bear. But nobody has actually confirmed its presence, but it is a mythical bear. It exists in the myth of that region. There is a huge bear which is more human-like, and it is much bigger than any of the bear which is there, and this has been a part of the folklore also. Like people locally also have various stories and various legends regarding the Yeti. Many movies have been made about it, many books have been written, many novels have been written. So all these are there, but then we get to see I mean all of these was in the mythical part or a part of the folklore, local stories. But then when Indian Army came up with this information that it has been able to locate the footprints of Yeti, people were very astonished because people thought and have always thought, okay, these are not real as such. These are all mythical creatures. But then Indian Army came up with it, and that is why there was a lot of news regarding it. Okay, so Makalu Barun National Park, it is located in Nepal, and it is located at the border of Nepal and Tibet, and it is known, or it is mainly famous because we get to see Indian Army came up with that entire declaration saying that they have been even took photographs showing the footprints of Yeti, which they believe is Yeti. Let us see where this is the map of Nepal, and over here you can see this is your Makalu Barun National Park. Actually, this is the Makalu Barun National Park, and here you have the Sagarmatha National Park as well, but this is Makalu Barun National Park. And here also you can see Kanchenjunga National Park, Kanchenjunga Conservation Area is there. So these are the different areas which are there. For example, Annapurna. Around Annapurna also you have conservation area. Similarly, Royal Chitwan National Park, very famous for its tigers, rhinos, and all. So Royal Chitwan National Park is there adjoining India. Royal Bardia National Park is also there, which is also very famous for its tigers. It is famous for its rhinos. Okay, and apart from that, many are there. But what we are more concerned about right now is this Makalu Barun National Park over here. This part, this entire area is the Makalu Barun National Park. Okay? So adjoining, it is lying at the edge of Nepal and Tibet. Another little bit of information that you should know: Brahmaputra River is used as a waterway for transporting goods between Bangladesh and Bhutan via India. Next, another thing that we get to see over here is this: Bangladesh, it has allowed the planting of golden rice to fight vitamin A deficiency. Now, golden rice, from the picture over here, you can see normal rice is usually, this is the normal rice, the normal colored rice, and this is the normal rice that you have, and this is the golden rice. So it is believed, we don't know yet whether it is true or not, but Bangladesh has allowed the planting of golden rice which is genetically modified to fight vitamin A deficiency. Okay. Now this golden rice, it is supposed to be rich in beta carotene, and that is what gives it this golden color. So golden rice, it is supposed to be rich in beta carotene, which gives it this golden color. And golden rice, it was developed by the International Rice Research Institute, which has its headquarters at Philippines. Okay, golden rice, it was discovered by the International Rice Research Institute with its headquarters at Philippines. So remember that. Next up, another thing which has been in the news, that is the Mekong Ganga cooperation. So if you have gone through your international relations part, you must have heard about the Mekong Ganga cooperation. What is this Mekong Ganga cooperation? It is just at least know which are the countries which are a part of Mekong Ganga cooperation, etc. So first of all, we get to see that there are 6 countries involved in the Mekong Ganga cooperation. Why it has been named as Mekong Ganga? Because all the countries which are there within this entire agreement, you can say. So there are 2 important rivers. One is River Ganga and the other is River Mekong. And on the basis of their names only, the names of the 2 major rivers which run through these countries, on the basis of the names of these 2 rivers only, the particular agreement has been named as Mekong Ganga cooperation. So which are the countries which are a part of it? We have India, we have Myanmar. So India का capital कौन है? Which is the capital? That is New Delhi. Myanmar का क्या है? Naypyidaw. ठीक है? Naypyidaw. It is the capital of Myanmar. Similarly, we get to see Laos, and Laos का capital क्या है? Vientiane. ठीक है? Vientiane या Vientiane, whatever it is. So Myanmar with its capital at Naypyidaw, Laos with its capital at Vientiane, Thailand का तो है ही Bangkok, Cambodia is Phnom Penh, and we also have Vietnam, that is Hanoi. So which are the countries? India, Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. India, Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. Please remember, these are the 6 countries which are a part of the Mekong Ganga cooperation. So it was established on 10th of November 2000 at Vientiane. Where is Vientiane? Laos. At the first ministerial meeting of the Mekong Ganga cooperation. 6 member countries are there. And what are the areas in which these countries cooperate with each other? So the areas of cooperation are, as you can see from the picture itself, the areas of cooperation are tourism, culture, education, transportation linkages, in order to be solid foundation for for future trade, as well as investment cooperation in the region. So tourism, culture, education, transportation linkages, these are the areas of cooperation between all these countries. And the name of the organization is on the basis of the 2 important rivers which flow through this area. One is Ganga, other is Mekong. Okay, so remember about Mekong Ganga cooperation. This is the part 1 of your East and South Asia wala part. So East Asia already we have completed, and South Asia we have started with South Asia. What we will do is that we will have a second video on South Asia along with India as well, because India is also a part of South Asia. So we'll keep this video till here. We will have the second part of East and South Asia, where we'll be focusing upon the rest of the places in South Asia, as well as some of the places which have been in the news from India. Okay, so hope you have liked this video. Please let us know in the comment section, and please like this video, share with your friends who are also UPSC aspirants who are preparing for UPSC. Please subscribe to Aptitude+ Academy for Civil Services YouTube channel for more such informative videos, and we'll meet again with the second part of East and South Asia, especially South Asia and those places of India which have been in the news. So till then, please take care of yourself and study hard. Thank you, and we'll see you again. Thank you. We'll meet again.
I'm an icon, man. And my girl about a 10. I should fuck her in a Benz.